Turn off every single light source in the room. Close the windows, turn off the air conditioning, and even unplug your refrigerator if you have to. Above all, put on high-quality headphones. Tonight we don't need sight, because what we're about to discuss involves something that has accompanied you since your first breath and will not leave you until your final moment of consciousness. Have you ever noticed that subtle, almost imperceptible hum that fills a room when you're alone? What we call silence is never truly empty. It is a low frequency, a constant hiss that our brain learns to filter out from birth to keep us sane. But have you ever wondered what would happen if that filter, for just 1 second, were to fail? Tonight we explore the theory of existential white noise. Be warned, after this video, every little creak in your house won't feel like a simple settling of wood anymore, but a signal. And silence will become your worst enemy. There is a little-known experiment conducted in the 1970s in an anechoic chamber, a room designed to absorb 99.9% of external sounds. The record for staying inside is only 45 minutes. Beyond that limit, people begin to beg to let them out, struck by auditory hallucinations and panic attacks. Why? Because in absolute silence, you begin to hear the sounds of your own body in a way that is unnatural. Your heartbeat becomes a deafening drum that shakes your entire skull. The blood flowing through your veins hisses like a rushing river, your lungs expanding whistle like rusted bellows. But there is a testimony, never officially published, of a volunteer who lasted for 3 hours. When he came out, he didn't speak for days. He finally said that after the body's noise fades because the mind stops listening to it, another sound takes over, a sound that comes neither from the inside nor the outside. He called it the program's breath. He said it was the sound of reality struggling to stay powered on, an electric hum similar to an old tube television about to blow out, or the drone of a massive server processing infinite data. Philosophy teaches us that to be is to be perceived. If a forest falls and no one hears it, does it make a sound? The unsettling answer is that sound isn't just a physical phenomenon. It's an anchor to reality. The white noise you always hear is the engine of the world turning. It is the background vibration that holds together the atoms of your chair, your bed, and your skin. The reason absolute silence terrifies us is that, on a subconscious level, we understand that without sound, matter ceases to make sense. Silence is not the absence of noise, it is the beginning of deletion. When a room becomes too quiet, the boundaries of your body begin to vibrate at the frequency of nothingness. Have you ever been in the mountains? In a place so isolated that your ears started to ring? That is the sound of your existence, desperately trying to cling to something, while the density of reality thins out. The further you move from the noise of civilization, the closer you get to the edge of the map, where sounds have not yet been rendered by the system. Let's go deeper into the territory of acoustic overlays. Have you ever heard your name called clearly while you were home alone? Or the sound of something heavy falling in another room? But when you go to check, everything is in its place, motionless. Psychology calls this auditory pareidolia, the brain seeking patterns in the chaos of wind or appliances. But the philosophical truth is darker. These are buffer errors. The universe is not a straight line. It is a series of overlapping layers of reality, separated only by thin, differing frequencies. That hum you hear in your ears is the acoustic wall, dividing us from the other layers. When you hear that sudden high-pitched whistle, what we call tinnitus, it's not a blood pressure issue. It's a crack in the wall. In that moment, for a millisecond, your frequency aligned with that of an elsewhere. And if you heard your name, it wasn't your imagination. It was someone in another layer who saw you, just as you sometimes see a shadow out of the corner of your eye. They called you because, to them, you were the intruder, the ghost disturbing their silence. There's an even greater danger that science academies keep hidden to avoid mass panic: black noise. It is a specific frequency located just below the threshold of hearing, which, if listened to, induces a state of pure anguish, a sensation of imminent death that doctors cannot explain. The truth is that black noise is the sound of the universe reclaiming space. Every time you feel that sudden, groundless anxiety while sitting on the couch or about to fall asleep, as if an invisible hand is crushing your chest, it's because you've passed through a zone of dead silence, a zone where reality is no longer being powered. You are like a corrupted file in a computer that the system is trying to delete to optimize resources. That pressure is the force of the void pressing against your existence, trying to return you to the original state of stillness. Think about newborns. Why do they cry desperately if there's too much silence, and calm down instantly with the white noise of a hairdryer or a vacuum cleaner? Because they still have a fresh memory of the before. They know that absolute silence is the natural state of the universe, a cold, soulless void, and that this noisy, chaotic life is just a brief interruption, a fragile dream that can vanish at the first power dip. The ancients called this hum the music of the spheres, but it wasn't a celestial melody composed by angels. It was a mechanical warning. If the sound stops, you end. And the scariest part is that the volume of the world is lowering. Have you noticed how, as years go by, the world seems more muffled, less vivid, less present? It's not just your age. It's the universe running out of the energy necessary to maintain the vibration of matter. The stars are moving away. Space is expanding, and the frequency is diluting. We are sliding, slowly but surely, toward the great silence. But there is an even more disturbing phenomenon called the third hearing. Certain monks and ascetics who have practiced vows of silence for decades report that they began to hear not just the sounds of the present, but the vibrations of what is about to happen. Sound travels at a limited speed in our air, but in the fiber of reality, sound is instantaneous. If you listen closely enough to the hum of your room, you might hear the sound of a glass breaking 3 seconds before it happens, or the sound of rain 10 minutes before the first drop falls. Many who reach this stage go insane because they begin to hear the sound of their own death, a dissonant note that grows louder day by day, a whistle that intensifies as their time runs out. Have you ever tried to record the silence of an empty room with your phone and then play it back at maximum volume with headphones? If you do, and if you have the courage to listen beyond the electronic hiss, you will hear whispers. These are not voices of spirits in the classic sense. They are fragments of data, conversations of people who will live 100 years from now, or who died centuries ago. Because time is a construction linked to frequency, in white noise, everything happens simultaneously. If you listen long enough, you might hear the sound of your own voice, screaming in a moment you haven't lived yet, or a baby crying in a room that is an office today, but was once a bedroom. It is the sound of time collapsing onto itself. Many researchers who tried to map these frequencies ended up losing their minds, unable to bear the fact that every word we speak has already been uttered, and that the final silence is just waiting for us to finish our script. And what about the witness sound? There is a frequency that activates only when someone is watching you from a blind spot. You know that feeling of being stared at from behind that makes you snap your head around? It is a subconscious acoustic warning. The presence of another consciousness alters the vibrational frequency of the air around you. It creates interference. If your room is too silent, and you suddenly hear a very slight shift in the tone of the background hum, as if a note changed by a semitone, it means you are no longer alone. Something has occupied the space behind you, and the air displacement of its existence has changed the music of the room. In that moment, silence becomes a hungry predator. Look at the room around you now. If I were to stop talking right this second, how long would it take before the weight of the silence started to crush your temples? You would hear the ticking of the clock, then the hum of the fridge, then the thumping of your own blood, and finally, that hiss. That hiss isn't electricity in the walls. It is the sound of time consuming itself. It is the countdown of your consciousness. And if that hiss were to ever stop suddenly, if the room were to become instantaneously totally mute, do not try to call for help. Do not even try to breathe. Because in that acoustic vacuum, there will be no more air to vibrate. There will be no one left to hear, and you won't even have a mouth left to scream. You will have become part of someone else's background noise. You will have become pure, eternal silence. As the video nears its end, take an extreme test. Stay motionless for 10 seconds after I stop speaking. Don't move a muscle. Listen to the frequency in your room. If it seems to be getting louder, almost a metallic scream in your ears, it means your attention is feeding reality, keeping it lit with the strength of your fear. If instead it seems to be fading, if you feel the world becoming distant, light, and weightless, well, I hope you can find the strength to make a noise, any noise, before it's too late. Break a glass, scream, clap your hands with all your might. Let the system know you are still here, or it will shut you down to save memory. If this sonic exploration into the abyss has left you with a sense of emptiness, and that strange vibration in your ears won't go away, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's the only way we have to keep the volume of our common existence high, to shout together against the advancing void. Write in the comments if you've ever heard that breath, or those whispers in the deep silence of the night. Keep listening, stay in the noise, as long as reality allows you, because silence is coming for us all, and it has no intention of leaving.